everyone, very warm welcome to the Canada News with your host Divya. Now let's take a look on the headlines. Harmanjot Singh's Battal of Batala village in Barnala district of Punjab has been the victim of shooting at Sherwood Park in Edmonton. Sonia Sidhu MP from Brampton South mentioned the contribution of mothers toward the society and congratulated all the mothers for it. Manitoba Education Minister Cliff Cullen has announced that remote learning will be offered in all schools and kindergartens in Winnipeg and Baden from May 12 to 30. Now news in detail. Harmanjot Singh Battal of Batala village in Barnala district of Punjab has been a victim of shooting at Sherwood Park in Edmonton, where he suffered the brunt of a Punjabi couple's civil war. Gamdoor Brar of Edmonton was having an argument with his wife when the Gamdoor Brar wives called his cousin Harmanjot Singh for help, but Gamdoor Brar later opened fire. According to police, Harmanjot Singh has died and Gamdoor Brar's wife has been critically injured. Harmanjot Singh Battal came to Canada a year ago and with the dream of studying as an international student, and his son was sent to Canada by his family to lead a better life. The suspect Gamdoor Brar has been arrested by the police. While this incident has caused a wave of grief in the Punjabi diaspora community, the family is also in a very bad condition, and seeing the grief of parents, everyone's heart is pounding.
मेरा बेटा 2 साल पहला स्टडी ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ। ਮੇਰੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਸੀ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ 2 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸਟੱਡੀ ਵੀਜ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਤੇ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਪੜ੍ਹਨ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਚੰਗੇ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਦੇ ਲਈ। ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਉਹਦੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਡੇਲੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀ। ਬਹੁਤ ਇਕਲੌਤਾ ਬੇਟਾ ਸੀ ਮੇਰਾ, ਜੋ ਮੇਰੇ ਢਿੱਡ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਅੱਗ ਲੱਗੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ। ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਨਾ ਲੱਗੀ ਜਾਵੇ। ਉਹ ਮੇਰੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਹੀ ਗਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉੱਥੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਾਸੀ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਨ ਤਾਂ ਸੀ ਜਿਸ ਟਾਈਮ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹ ਘਟਨਾ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਹੈਗੀ। ਉਹ ਮਾਸੀ ਭਾਣਜਾ ਗੱਡੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਸੀਗੇ। ਜੋ ਉਹਦਾ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੈਂ ਮਾਸੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹੂੰਗੀ, ਹੁਣ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਇੱਕ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ, ਜਿਹਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਦਾ ਕਤਲ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਧਨਾੜ ਬੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਬਚਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਿਹਾ, ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਵੀ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਸਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਖਤ ਮਿਲਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ। ਮੈਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਔਰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜੋ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਹੱਥ ਬੰਨ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੀ ਇਹੀ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਦਿਵਾਉਣ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਇਨਸਾਫ ਦਿਵਾਵੇ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ, ਅਤੇ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੱਸਦਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਵੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਮਦਦ ਕਰੇ। ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਸਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਖਤ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਵੇ। ਉਸਨੇ ਬੜੀ ਬੇਰਹਿਮੀ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੁੱਤਰ ਦਾ ਕਤਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਅੱਜ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਦੁਖੀ ਹਾਂ। ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਇਕਲੌਤਾ ਬੇਟਾ ਸੀ ਮੇਰਾ, ਮੇਰੇ ਲਈ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਚਿਆ ਅੱਜ ਇੱਥੇ। ਉਹਦੇ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਅੱਜ ਜ਼ਿੰਦਗੀ ਉੱਜੜ ਗਈ, ਦੁਨੀਆ ਉੱਜੜ ਗਈ ਮੇਰਾ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਰਿਹਾ। ਬਸ ਮੈਂ ਹੁਣ ਆਖਿਰ 'ਤੇ ਹੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਉਸ ਗਮਦੂਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਖਤ ਤੋਂ ਸਖਤ ਸਜ਼ਾ ਦਿਵਾਈ ਜਾਵੇ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਅਤੇ ਐਡਮਿੰਟਨ ਦਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਘਟਨਾ ਜਾਣ ਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ, ਪਤੀ ਪਤਨੀ ਦਾ ਝਗੜਾ ਸੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ। ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਪਤਾ, ਉਹ ਅਣਭੋਲ ਸੀਗਾ। ਉਹਨੂੰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀ ਪਤਾ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਝਗੜਾ ਹੈ। ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਮਾਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਅਤੇ ਮਾਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਦੋਨੋਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ, ਮਾਸੀ ਭਾਣਜਾ। ਉਹਦੇ ਘਰ ਵਾਲਾ ਬਸ ਜੋ ਹੈਗਾ ਸੀ, ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਘਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਦਾ ਡਿਸਪਿਊਟ ਸੀਗਾ, ਲੜਾਈ ਝਗੜਾ ਸੀ। ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਦਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ। ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਇਹ ਕੁਛ ਹੋ ਜਾਊਗਾ। ਉਹਨੇ ਮਗਰ ਜਾਣ ਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ ਗੱਡੀ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਦੀ ਗੱਡੀ ਦਾ ਪੈਂਚਰ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਣ ਬੁੱਝ ਕੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਦਾ ਕਤਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਔਰ ਆਪਣੀ ਉਹ ਘਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਤਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ। ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਂ ਮੰਗ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਲਈ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਬੰਦਾ ਕਲੰਕ ਹੈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰ ਜਾਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਪਤਨੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਖਸ਼ੀ ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਬਖਸ਼ ਸਕਦਾ। ਬਸ ਮੇਰੀ ਇਹੀ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਖੜੋਗੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਅਤੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਸਰਕਾਰ। ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੀ ਮੰਗ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੇਰੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਦੀ ਡੈੱਡ ਬੋਡੀ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਲਦੀ ਤੋਂ ਜਲਦੀ ਭੇਜੀ ਜਾਵੇ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਦੀ ਸਾਥੀ ਨਾਲ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਲਾਸ਼ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਥੀ ਨਾਲ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਸੰਸਕਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਿਸਾਬ ਨਾਲ ਉਹਦਾ ਸੰਸਕਾਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ।
ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੁੱਕਰਵਾਰ ਦੀ ਰਾਤ 2 ਵਜੇ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਕਾਲ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੇਟੇ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਸ਼ੂਟ ਕਰਤਾ, ਉਹਦੀ ਐਟ ਦੀ ਸਪੌਟ ਡੈਥ ਹੋ ਗਈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ 2 ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਹ ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ 'ਤੇ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ। ਜਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਫੋਨ ਨੰਬਰ 'ਤੇ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕੀਤਾ ਤਾਂ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਇੱਕ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਬੋਲ ਰਿਹਾ ਅਤੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਡੈੱਡ ਬੋਡੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਆ ਗਈ ਹੈ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਕੋਈ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਾਣਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੋ। ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੇਟਰ ਦੀ ਮੰਗ ਕੀਤੀ। ਇੰਟਰਪ੍ਰੇਟਰ ਅਵੇਲੇਬਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ। ਜਿੰਨੀ ਕੁ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਹੀ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਬੱਚਾ ਡੈੱਡ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਹੈਗਾ। ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਗੱਲ ਕਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਟਿਊਜ਼ਡੇ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਪੋਸਟਮਾਰਟਮ ਹੋਊਗਾ। ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਸਵਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਸ਼ੂਟਰ ਕੌਣ ਹੈਗਾ, ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕਰ ਲਿਆ। ਮੈਂ ਅੱਗੋਂ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਕਿ ਕੀ ਉਹ ਇੰਡੀਅਨ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਅਜੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਨਵੈਸਟੀਗੇਸ਼ਨ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ। ਇੰਨੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਦਾ, ਉਹਨੂੰ ਜਿਸ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇਦਾਰਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਾ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਜਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਲਏ, ਲੜਕੇ ਦੀ ਮਾਸੀ ਦਾ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਸੜ ਜੀ ਦਾ। ਉਦੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਮਾਸੀ ਵੀ ਨਾਲ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਜ਼ਖਮੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਦੀ ਸਰਜਰੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਹਸਬੈਂਡ ਦਾ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਗਮਦੂਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੈ, ਉਹ ਵੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਬੱਚੇ ਦਾ ਮਾਸੜ ਲੱਗਦਾ ਹੈ, ਵੀ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਉਹ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਤਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਹਿਣ ਲੱਗੇ ਗਮਦੂਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕੂਗਾ। ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਸੀ ਗਮਦੂਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਨੂੰ ਅਰੈਸਟ ਕੀਤਾ।
On the occasion of International Mother's Day, where mothers from all over the world were greeted, everyone wished their mothers a happy day. There, Sonia Sidhu MP from Brampton South mentioned the contribution of mothers toward the society and congratulated all the mothers for it.
Mr. Speaker, as Mother's Day is this Sunday, I want to highlight the contribution that mothers make every day. Although they often go without credit, mothers are the real heroes. Mr. Speaker, a mother can take the place of all others, but nobody can take a mother's place. I want to thank my own mother who taught me the value of helping those in need. She's fighting a battle against cancer. Her strength inspires me. I know how much you are going through, Mom. I'm here because of your values, resilience, and strength, which only a mother could teach. My message to all mothers is to take care of yourself. We are often too busy taking care of our children, parents, and families, but often forgot about our own health, including mental health. You deserve to take care of yourself. Happy Mother's Day to all of you.
Manitoba's Education Minister Cliff Cullen has announced that remote learning will be offered in all schools and kindergartens in Winnipeg and Baden from May 12 to 30. The announcements come amid mounting sanctions in Manitoba among rising corona cases.
Minister of Education for the province of Manitoba. Joining me today is Brent Rusin. He is our Chief Provincial Public Health Officer. Before we begin today, I do want to acknowledge it is Mother's Day, and I know many of us wanted to spend our Mother's Day in different locations under better circumstances. The reality is we've got challenges before us here in Manitoba. But I do want to take this time to say hello to all the mothers out there. I hope you're enjoying your day under whatever circumstances you find yourself. It's been an interesting and challenging 15 months for sure. And as we go through our second Mother's Day under the pandemic, I just want to say hello to all the mums out there on this very special day, and we appreciate everything you do for us day in and day out. Keeping schools safe and open for students and staff and families has been the forefront of our COVID response planning. Our priority has been to have students in classrooms with face-to-face instruction to the greatest extent possible, since we know students learn best in this environment. We also know, however, that the rising COVID numbers in Manitoba are presenting additional challenges, especially to our health system and to the safety of Manitobans. Although schools have not been a source of widespread transmission of COVID, the case counts in our schools are rising, and with increased transmission of variants of concern in larger urban centers and among younger people.
Due to the conditions prevailing in India during the corona period due to lack of oxygen, a large amount of aid is being sent to India from abroad. Gurpreet Singh Padda, leader of the organization, said efforts have also been initiated by the Canadian organization CARE for the cause to help India by providing a large number of oxygen concentrators.
ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੇਨ ਮਕਸਦ ਹੈਗਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਵੀ ਪ੍ਰੋਬਲਮ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਆਕਸੀਜਨ ਦੀ। ਅਸੀਂ ਭੇਜ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਆਕਸੀਜਨ ਕਨਸੈਂਟਰੇਟਰ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਸ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਨੂੰ। 200 ਮਸ਼ੀਨ ਦੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਆ ਬਾਏ May 20th। ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਮਤਲਬ ਨੈਕਸਟ ਟਾਰਗੇਟ ਇਜ਼ for 1000 ਮਸ਼ੀਨਸ।
ਕਿਵੇਂ ਫੰਡਰੇਜ਼ਰ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰੋਗੇ?
ਬੇਸਿਕਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੰਡਸ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਅਸੀਂ 200 ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ ਆ ਉਹ ਟਾਈਵਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਲਰੇਡੀ ਆਰਡਰ ਕਰਤੀਆਂ they will be shipped out this week and by May 20th they should arrive in Delhi and we have a few different locations ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹ distribute ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਮਸ਼ੀਨਾਂ already
locations ਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਦੱਸ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ
ਹਾਂਜੀ it's different like schools ਜਿਹੜੇ COVID assessment centers ਬਣੇ ਆ for schools ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੰਦਿrs mosques so any religious places anywhere ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ like ਮਤਲਬ ਬੈੱਡ ਲਾਏ ਆ ਤਾਂ beds ਮਤਲਬ ਬਹੁਤ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਆ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ in terms of temples and mosques but there's a shortage of oxygen tanks and shortage of oxygen concentrators so ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਮਤਲਬ ਜਿਹੜੀ shortage ਆ ਉਹ ਪੂਰੀ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਕ ਆਰਗੇਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਨਾਮ ਹੈਗਾ ਜੀ ਕੇਅਰ ਫॉर ਕਾਜ਼ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ 2018 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ 8 ਦੋਸਤ ਸੀਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਮਤਲਬ originally ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ for funerals ਵੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਕਰਨੀ funerals ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਈਕ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਮਨੀ ਸ਼ਾਰਟੇਜ ਹੋ ਗਈ funerals ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ any type of help in terms of funerals so in 2018 ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਸੋਚ ਕੇ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ and then when the pandemic started ਜਦੋਂ pandemic ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋਇਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੀਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸ਼ੈਲਟਰ ਸੀਗੇ ਫੂਡ ਸ਼ੈਲਟਰ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹ ਬਹੁਤ overwhelmed ਹੋ ਗਏ ਸੀ and government wasn't really funding them
US President Joe Biden congratulates his mother on International Mother's Day. Biden looked emotional as he shared his moments with his mother. He said, "My mother was always proud of my success and always prayed for me."
My mom was always about honor, about responsibility. She used to say, you know, Joey, the greatest virtue of all is courage. Because without courage, you couldn't love with abandon. She'd talk about how that, you know, Joey, bravery resides in every heart. But someday it'll be summoned. Be ready. Every time I look at this picture of my mom, she was, I think, 92 years old. And this was at Grant Park out in Chicago, the night that we were about to be announced as the President and Vice President of the United States. And we're backstage, and they said, now the President and Vice President of the United States of America. And my mom had my hand. She reached out and looked at the look on Brock's face. And she grabbed his hand and said, come on, honey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. That was my mom. The great benefit I had was all of my children got to know my mom really, really well. And even my grandchildren got to know my mom. Incredible lady. She was a quintessential lady.
Niagara Falls Mayor Jim Diotti says now it is the time for federal government to consider opening the US-Canada border. He said that all borders are important in themselves. Our trade is conducted through the borders.
Well, you know what I'm thinking? We can't be fighting each other. We're trying to fight this COVID. We're trying to fight what's happening with the economy, everyone's mental health. I'm focused on solutions and the finish line, and that's where I'm trying to put all my energy. I mean, yeah, have we all made mistakes? Absolutely. There's no pandemic 101 that we had to refer to, and we're trying to figure things out. Nobody really has all the answers. So our focus here is getting things open, getting everybody healthy, and getting the economy happening again, because in Niagara Falls, it's been devastating. You know, all the border mayors have these regular meetings, virtual meetings with Minister Blair. And we understand that the border is going to open more like a dimmer switch than a light switch. We know it's going to be gradual. We understand that. But what we're asking is, please show us the benchmarks, show us the targets, where are the metrics. How can we shoot for a target that we don't know where it exists? So our whole objective right now is to find out how we can safely open up the borders. Because when this started, the US had a much worse case situation than us. And since then, they're doing a much better job in terms of vaccinating, and their per capita case rate is lower than us. So we're saying it's time to have the discussion and let us know where the benchmarks are, how we get there. Well, being a border mayor, you know, we have regular conversations. And Niagara Falls, a lot of people don't understand there are two Niagara Falls.
That's
Niagara
right.
Falls say, yeah, well, I've traveled all over, and it's funny because people will say to me, you know, I thought you were Canadian. Well, how can you be the mayor of Niagara Falls? I said, well, there are two Niagara Falls. I didn't know that. Yeah. So like to say, one big city divided by a river, divided by a border. So Mayor Estano, the mayor of Niagara Falls, New York, we talk regularly, as well as other border city mayors in the U.S. And it's funny, for them, they're saying, what are you guys waiting for? I mean, things are up and running over here. When are you going to open up? When are we going to get together again? And we're having these ongoing discussions. And the frustrating part for me is I've got family and friends all over the United States. And for us, when we grew up, you never even carried ID. You just went over the river, as they call it. And I laugh when I go visit friends in Windsor. It was, we're going over the river, OTR, over the ditch, whatever word you want to call it. And we missed that. We took it for granted for sure. But they're asking when and how. And I'm saying, you know, I don't actually know.
Homicide detectives are investigating the shooting death of a man outside the main terminal at Vancouver International Airport in Richmond, British Columbia. The integrated homicide investigation team confirmed the murder in a tweet.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you all for waiting and thank you for being here. I'm Sergeant Frank Chang of IHIT. We have yet another homicide here in the Lower Mainland. Specifically, we're here standing at YBR, where a few hours ago, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there was a shooting here in the international departure area, just behind me. The victim, I can tell you, is a 28-year-old man. We know who he is. Okay? We have his name. We're not going to be identifying him, not yet. But what I can tell you is that he was known to police, and we believe that his killing is linked to this ongoing gang conflict that we've seen throughout our region lately. What we need from the public right now are witnesses and dashcam video. So right after the shooting at 3 o'clock, there was an SUV that sped away from this area. We believe had at least two people inside. Okay, so we're looking for at least two suspects, maybe more in that vehicle. What we also know is that there was a burnt vehicle reported by the Surrey RCMP in the area of the 9700 block of Princess Drive. Okay, the most likely route from here to that area of Surrey is Highway 99, then along Highway 91, across the Alex Fraser Bridge, and up northeast along River Road. That is the most likely route. Okay? Anyone traveling along that route this afternoon, right after around 3 o'clock, okay, if you have dashcam video, we please urge you to check your dashcam video. If you have it, doesn't matter whether you are going, eastbound or westbound. Please contact IHIT, or better yet, if you can also just come to the Richmond RCMP detachment.
Large-scale vaccination against corona is also underway in Canada. Meanwhile, a second death has been confirmed in the Canada following a thrombotic incident following the vaccination of AstraZeneca. This information was provided by Dr. Dina Hinshaw, Chief Medical Officer of Alberta, in April. A 54-year-old female patient died of cerebral thrombosis in the province of Quebec after being vaccinated with the AstraZeneca vaccine is happening. That week confirmed the death of a 50-year-old female patient in Alberta with stubborn inducted thrombotic panica 2 nights after being vaccinated with AstraZeneca. The chief medical officer added that of the 253,000 AstraZeneca or Covishield AstraZeneca thus given the Alberta, only VITT was administered. Is the only death associated with Health Canada has temporarily suspended vaccinations for Canadians under the age of 55 following a recommendation from Canada's National Advisory Committee. Millions of people have lost their lives due to COVID rage, and the number of rages is steadily rising. The majority of those who died are those who are lost heart. Courage is essential to overcome this disease, he said. Surrey resident Sandy Rosen was also suffering from corona, but despite many difficulties, she bravely overcame this terrible disease.
I'm Sandy Rosine, and I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my experience having COVID. We were at our cabin on Keats Island, and the Sunday I ended up feeling a little fluish. Got home, had booked my COVID test for the next day, and was still kind of feeling a little bit chilled, a little bit feverish. Again, still thinking that I'm not really sure that this could actually be the case, because I don't know how it could have happened. And then early the next morning, we got the text message saying that Sandra R. is positive for COVID. And then over the next couple of days, I kind of started to have a few more symptoms, but I seemed to still be okay to keep doing my day. Day 3, suddenly things just started to turn, and I started feeling like I kind of needed to stay in bed more, like I needed to sleep a bit more, hoping that it would just kind of start to go away. It was a good full week that it was just gradually getting worse, and I was feeling more achy, and I started getting really bad migraines, and I started not being able to eat and struggled to even drink. And then probably around day 8, things got, all I can just describe it as is that suddenly it felt like I had been buried alive. I felt like the air was heavy, my body was heavy. I didn't seem to be able to lift myself up to get out of bed, to even going to the bathroom became a difficulty. I hadn't eaten in several days because my body just wouldn't keep food down. And so we got to the hospital, and once we were at the hospital, they whisked me into acute care and began to take all my vital statistics and oxygen levels and all that kind of thing. Chest x-rays, ECGs, and it's then that they suddenly said, oh my goodness, you have pneumonia and your lungs are failing, and they're just not taking in oxygen. And so they immediately hooked me up with oxygen, and finally, over the course of about 10 days in hospital, finally my lungs could function on their own again. What I would really want to encourage people to recognize is that, you know, I know a lot of people talk about the fact that most people only get the flu version of COVID. And so if they're a relatively healthy person, they'll probably just be the kind that gets the flu version. And I think probably my strong message is that none of us know. You know, I would have thought I would have been just the flu version, and it really turned the opposite to that very fast. I think also the need for us not to, you know, be so concerned about whether or not we have to keep wearing masks. The fact that masks protect us from giving it to somebody else at the moment that we don't know we have it is a really important understanding. It's mostly about us protecting one another is a big part of it.
So that's all we have in this edition. Stay tuned for more updated news.